Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here and you don't know me already, my name's Amy. I'm a full-time traveler originally from Toronto, Canada, and today I thought it'd be helpful to share a little bit of my story of how I got here, how I became a full-time traveler content creator, as well as some things I wish I knew before I got started with content creation. So I like to say that I got into content creation accidentally because I really didn't know what was going on and what was happening at all. It actually started happening in 2020, so you can probably guess where this is going. It was pandemic time. I was actually traveling in Vietnam and Cambodia in the middle of the start of the pandemic. So I had to come home in the middle of my travels and kind of figure out what I was doing with my life. And just to rewind a little bit, I actually have a degree in English and Communications from Canada. So I finished that degree and I was trying to look for jobs in the writing marketing space. And when I didn't really have much luck in Toronto, I thought, okay, I might as well go teach English in Vietnam so I can earn some money, maybe start up a YouTube channel and see where things go. I just really was looking for a way to get paid to travel. When I got home, I was jobless. So out of some sort of miracle, I ended up getting a job with a international hotel chain that is very well known doing their social media. And I was their social media coordinator slash manager. I had to be in the office 4 days a week, even during the pandemic, which was a little bit weird. And from the first day, I knew I hated this job. At the time, TikTok was obviously just becoming a thing, so I started posting some videos just for fun. And as I was doing that, it started to kind of take off a little bit. And because I hated my job at the time, I was looking for other options to earn money online. Eventually, I started doing freelance writing because I had seen that on TikTok and kind of got into that, and that allowed me to quit my job after 5 months and just work remotely. So I've actually been working remotely since November 2020. As I was doing that freelance writing work, I was also making TikToks still about my previous travels and just giving tips, stuff about different destinations, and my account started to grow. So at that point, I got to maybe like 40, 50,000, and some brands started approaching me. And I'd never done this before. I didn't know what to do. The first brand, I think, paid me maybe like 300 Canadian dollars for a video, which is a very low rate. But I didn't know what I was doing. So that's kind of how I started. So all of 2020 and 2021, or really just 2021, I was picking up some small brand deals, but nothing major. I was really relying on the freelance writing, and I decided to take a one-way flight to Cape Town in November 2021. This had just been a year after doing full-time freelance work. So I was taking a risk, but I knew it would work out in some way, shape, or form. I just trusted the process, took this one-way flight, thought I'd be in Cape Town for like a little bit and then continue traveling, but I actually spent 6 months there. So that was incredible. And at that time I was making a lot of content, practicing photography, taking more videos, and growing my accounts. Then fast forward into probably mid 2022, freelance writing was taking a downturn just because of ChatGPT, or even just the start of last year. So things started to slow down in terms of writing work, and I started to lean more into the content creation, and that leads me to today, where all of my work is pretty much surrounding content creation. Now, that doesn't mean I only have one stream of income. I actually have multiple streams of income, which I've talked about in a few of my other videos. However, I can't rely on just AdSense because Instagram, TikTok do not pay Canadians. We have no creator fund, but that is a whole nother topic I could go on about. Anyway, for reference, now I have around 88K on TikTok, 23K on Instagram, and 1.5K subscribers here on YouTube. If you're thinking about content creation and getting into it, my biggest piece of advice would be just do it. Honestly, start doing it today because there's no point in waiting. That is probably one of the biggest regrets I have, is just waiting to post content because I was too nervous. I thought people would judge me. I just didn't want to. I actually had a huge fear of filming myself, hearing my own voice, and having to edit my own voice. I don't know why. I used to hate the sound of my own voice so much. And I still don't necessarily love editing the videos and hearing my own voice, but that's something I got over pretty quickly. I'm not even kidding. I was working at a gym in 2017 telling people, oh, I really want to do YouTube videos, but I don't like the sound of my voice. So It's funny thinking back because now I just don't really care and it comes a lot more naturally. As soon as you start posting a few videos, I feel like you get into the groove a little bit and you realize once you start building a community as well, people do care about what you have to say, especially if you're teaching them something or have something entertaining to share with them. So basically just start because there's no point in waiting and you will find your people. So you might be thinking or wondering, do I need a niche if I'm creating content? This is something you see all the time online and people have so many things to say about it. A lot of people think you need to have a very specific and tailored niche down content strategy. And then other people think you can kind of talk about whatever as long as you're showing your personality. I kind of fall in the middle and I'm not quite sure where I sit because I do think it's important to have a niche and the other content you create surrounding that same niche, but I don't necessarily think it has to be so specific because you could be missing out on a wider audience. I personally find it really hard to niche down because I have so many interests in different topics that are kind of related to travel in some way. So I don't know if that's helped or hurt my content in terms of growing my different social media platforms or not, because I've talked about budget travel, solo travel, couple travel, destination guides, staying fit while you're traveling, sustainable travel. Like, the topics are kind of all over the place, but they always come back to travel. So I feel like you don't really need to be that specific if you have a general niche. If your only goal or main goal is to grow your audience rapidly, then you might want to niche down and be really specific. But I don't really think that's something you should prioritize. I think it's more important to nurture your audience and community, because just giving you a personal little anecdote here, I posted some content 2 years ago when I started blowing up on Instagram. It took me from under 10K to over 20K. And I was actually sitting at 26,000 because I had a few videos that went super viral, like 2, 3, 4 million views. And from that video, people followed and then they very rapidly started unfollowing me in the past 2 years. So I've actually been losing followers because of that. And it's taught me a lot about not caring about the numbers so much, realizing it's better to have people following you that actually care about your journey, care about the content you're putting out, rather than just following you and having that number, because brands actually care more about the engagement and who is commenting, liking, sharing, and interacting with your videos. I don't think you need to have a specific niche. I think you can build trust with your audience and let them into different parts of your life, but always have them kind of intertwined with the original main overarching niche. Choosing what platform to create content on can be really tough because there are so many to choose from. It can be insanely overwhelming to create content and put it out everywhere because each platform caters to a different type of content. And it also caters to a different type of audience. So I'd suggest asking yourself what type of content you enjoy creating the most and really go from there. I think you can also kind of fall into the trap sometimes of creating content that is easy and going down the path of like, okay, which one's easiest to create for? If you're thinking that way, sometimes TikTok is the easiest because you can just put out a few second video and sometimes it goes viral. So it's kind of like a low effort, high reward in some cases, but you really need to consider what you're trying to do with your audience, who you're trying to attract, and what type of content you're putting out for them. If it's going to be valuable to have a few second video, or if it's going to be more valuable to be on YouTube, for example, where you can share more in-depth content, or maybe on Instagram where you're going to be sharing a different type of content where most of the information is in the caption instead of in the video. So really think about what platforms you enjoy making content for, as well as how it can benefit your audience. Should you whole-ass one thing or half-ass a bunch of things? This is a question I've been asking myself and something I've been thinking about a lot, especially when it comes to posting on multiple platforms. Of course, when I started on this journey, I wasn't thinking about it in terms of a career, so I kind of just fell into it and was posting wherever, giving it no thought, no strategy whatsoever. But if you are considering this as a career path or just to make some extra income, then you do need to think about it wisely and think where you can best spend your time. I'd suggest thinking about one or maybe two platforms that deserve most of your attention, and then which other platforms you don't want to create for altogether, or you just want to put in the back burner and only create for when you have an idea or you have some extra time and you want to post there. but don't put that pressure on yourself to post on those other platforms consistently. And truthfully speaking, guys, I would have been a lot better off had I posted on YouTube consistently a few years back when I actually started sharing some story times during COVID, and I just gave up after like 5 videos. And while I love creating content for Instagram and TikTok, as I said previously, YouTube is actually one of the only platforms that pays Canadians. So because there is no TikTok creator fund, Instagram creator fund for Canadians, I could be monetized on YouTube by now, but because I put it off for so long and wasn't consistent with it, I'm still not monetized. And I mean, I haven't been posting consistently for a year yet, so I know that will come with time. But if I had been posting all this time, I probably would be there already. With that being said, I've had some incredible brand deals from Instagram and TikTok, and obviously I haven't gotten to that part of the journey for YouTube yet. But I do think my time would have been better spent had I focused more on YouTube and put a little less effort into the other platforms. I also have a travel blog that I have been working on and writing on for so long. I'm talking years, and I still haven't monetized that yet. So that's something I also should have been putting a little bit more effort to this whole time, because it is a passion of mine and something I'd like to be paid for. So you really have to consider what works for you, which platforms are going to give you the most back. And that doesn't necessarily mean instant gratification. I'm talking in the long term, which platform are you going to use to improve your life in some way? Are you going to get money from it consistently? Are you going to be searching for brand deals all the time? How is it going to work? What's it going to look for you? And when you logically think about how much time and effort goes into scripting, filming, editing, all of that stuff, and publishing for 5 or plus platforms, it takes a lot of time. Even for 3 platforms, it takes a lot of time, because you're not always just repurposing content, and even if you are, it will take a lot of time. Think about which platforms you want to prioritize. I'm currently in the stage of figuring this out for myself. I'm still posting consistently on YouTube. I think my main ones are going to be YouTube and my blog, because I really want to get that going. And I love Instagram and TikTok, but I think they're gonna be pushed a little bit to the side in the next few months or year. Basically, to sum it up, the one thought I can't seem to shake is that had I been putting all my effort into YouTube, or a lot more effort into YouTube or my blog, I could have been growing that at a rapid pace. And instead, I've been putting minimal effort into a range of different social media platforms. So because of that, everything's been growing slowly, when I could have had 1 or 2 things grow really quickly. And as I said, this is something I still struggle with, because I love going between platforms. I find it really fun to create different types of content, but I'm trying to re-strategize, focus, and zero in on things that are important to me and see what happens. So I'll keep you posted and let you know how all of that goes. Another thing I wish I had known from the start is to show up authentically. It's easy to show up differently online than you would in person, because you can be a different persona, you can act a little differently than you would with friends and family. However, I feel like people are pushing for normal content. They want to see your personality, they want to see the ups and downs of your life, they don't want to see just the highlight reel anymore. Things are changing, and I think if you can just show an ounce of your personality, you're going to find your community, you're going to find your people. It's just a matter of time. I also think it's important to note that you should be focusing more on creating good content rather than producing a lot of content. And this is also a reminder to myself, because I will often try to post multiple times a day or every single day on every single platform. And as I've already mentioned, that's nearly impossible to do or to keep up with. Even if you are doing it for a month, sure, you might be able to stay consistent for a month. After that point, it might be a little bit difficult to be posting 3 times a day, 5 times a day, however many times you set out to post. So be realistic and come out with quality content that will actually serve your audience and not drain you. Well, that's all I have to share about content creation for now. I hope you enjoyed hearing my story and learning about a few things I wish I knew before I started content creation. And if you found this video helpful, I'd love if you liked it and would subscribe to see more content like this every single week. Thanks again for watching all the way to the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.